Welcome to this week's edition of ChatsNews. I'm Morgan.
And I'm Seoyun. Here's the news for Wednesday, the 5th of February.
Chinese New Year celebrations took place on both campuses last week. Next week, we'll look back at the Orchard campus celebrations. But today, here is a look at what took place at the Bukit campus last Friday.
It was a sea of red last Friday at the Bukit campus, as primary students put on a performance in front of the secondary school and parents for Chinese New Year. The primary school worked hard for a number of weeks in the lead up to the event, and with the rain holding off, it made the day all the more enjoyable. Students from kindergarten right through to year 6 performed, and the event was also emceed by students speaking Mandarin and English. An additional performance from some of our year 7 students emphasized the strong link between primary and secondary on the campus. Here's what some of our students had to say about the event.
I really liked it to perform in front of all the parents.
I like the Chinese New Year assembly because there was a lion dance and we all got to perform in front of our parents and the teachers.
I like the Chinese New Year assembly because it was fun to see the other year's performance, and it was just really fun.
Later in the day, the school was visited by a lion dance group. Overall, it was a great way to cap off an extended period of celebration across Singapore. This is Sophia from Year 4 reporting for ChatsNews.
Some of our senior mother tongue students have shared with ChatsNews what it is about the mother tongue program at Chatsworth that helps them. Igor from Year 12 filed this report.
So I'm here today in Miss Lachey's room, and we're going to learn a little bit more about the Mother Tongue School-Supported Self-Taught Program.
Hello.
Hello.
你好. Magandang hapon sa iyong lahat.
สวัสดีค่ะ
Shalom.
Namaste.
Bonjour. Kamusta?
Madame Lachey, we'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your Mother Tongue program.
Well, the Mother Tongue program runs from year 7 to year 13 and gives the opportunity to students to study their mother tongue at an academic level. Presently, we have 1/4 of the students taking the Mother Tongue program at school.
So, Lavanya, what do you enjoy most about Mother Tongue?
I think the most fun thing about Mother Tongue is the fact that because there's so many different languages and cultures here, you get to learn more about different cultures from different perspectives, especially in the first unit we did, because we all did the same book, but we were doing it in 8 different languages. So it really gave a really broad perspective on how translation affects the meaning of a work, even though it's the exact same work, which was really interesting for me.
What about Mother Tongue has impacted you the most?
In Mother Tongue, we are exposed to different cultures, and it is interesting as well as hard to try to understand the different perspective.
What's the most important part for you personally about Mother Tongue?
Well, English isn't my first language. I came from Israel about 3 years ago, and so I was really afraid that I would lose my language, right? Because I don't do anything in Hebrew anymore. So I think that it really helped me maintain something that was so important to me and was part of my heritage and part of my culture. And it even let me look at it from a different perspective, because I'm learning things here that I would never learn if I was living in Israel, but in the language that I would learn if I was living in Israel.
Paalam. Au revoir.
Alvida.
Leitraut.
สวัสดีค่ะ Paalam.
再见.
Selamat tinggal.
Sampai jumpa.
While CCAs are underway across secondary this week, our primary parents are now able to view the list of the upcoming CCAs available to primary students on SchoolsBuddy. Primary CCAs will be open for registration between the 14th and the 21st of February.
Due to precautionary measures for the coronavirus, some students and staff have been absent from school. DP students and teachers have made use of video conferencing to keep in touch with lessons.
Mr. Shelly is one of the staff members stuck at home in quarantine, and he joins us now. Mr. Shelly, thank you for your time. How has the use of video conferencing helped you keep in touch with your classes back at school?
At the moment, only DP students have access to video conferencing, but it would have been really useful this week to talk to my personal project student or to deal with some of the questions I got face to face. I have, though, been using screen technology to relay some of those instructions and demonstrate videos that usually you do in person in the class. It's definitely very, very different when you're aware watching yourself on screen, and it's something you have to get used to because you can see all the flaws in your visual and verbal presentation.
What are the drawbacks of not being in the same room as your students?
There's a lot. So much of good communication depends on non-verbal cues, like your tone of voice, or making eye contact, or even just seeing how the other person reacts to what you say. Whilst modern video technology is quite amazing, there is still some lag when you speak to each other. That's the gap between what you say and when they hear it. And this can mean that it can be very hard to read how they take in what you say. Sometimes I don't know whether I should give more examples or whether I need to stop talking and let the student get on with it.
Do you think you could use video conferencing for other things in the future?
Definitely. I like the idea of being able to check in with absent students and not rely on written instructions. In fact, Google Meet, which is like Hangouts, has a possibility to have up to 15 people sharing a video call. So who knows, one day we may not need to come to school at all and we can just video conference from the comfort of our homes.
Imogen is one of the students in quarantine, and she has also made herself available to speak with us. Imogen, thank you for joining us. What has it been like having to stay away from school?
Well, it's nice not having to commute every day, and you get to sleep in for maybe an extra hour. However, it's much harder to keep up with classes when you're not physically there, and it's also harder to ask questions, and many classes rely on the teachers interacting or talking with the class.
How has the video conferencing helped you keep in touch with classes?
For some classes, I've been present using Google Meet, and this is useful as I get to hear the teacher's instructions as they're given to the class and work on tasks or documents at the same time as them. But this is definitely not as ideal as being physically there in the class. For example, if there's a class discussion, although I'm able to listen in, it's not very easy to contribute or hear what my classmates are saying.
Have you enjoyed online learning experience?
Yes and no. I prefer the working atmosphere at school because at home I'm more used to relaxing, so it can be harder to stay focused. However, it feels more efficient in a way. You don't have to spend so much time going in between classes or traveling to school in the morning.
Well, we hope both you and Mr. Shelly remain well and can join us at school as soon as possible. Thank you. Now it's time with the weather with Kiva.
Hi everyone. I hope you are having a great week at school. The weather is much the same as last week, but the temperature today will reach 32. But there's some relief with a shower or two in the afternoon. But for the rest of the week, it'll be humid. Not much rain and tops of 32 and 33 degrees. Always remember, guys, drink plenty of water and wear sunscreen and put on a hat when you go outside.
Good advice. Thank you, Kiva. And that's ChatsNews for Wednesday, the 5th of February, 2020.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you around school. Bye.